This is a beginner's guide on how to mod your gear in Warframe. It'll take your weapons from looking like this to looking like this. Let's jump right into things. To get things started, I want to tell you about some general tips when it comes to making yourself stronger in Warframe. A lot of people think that getting new Warframes and weapons can make them stronger, and while this isn't entirely untrue, to a larger extent, the most impactful thing you can do to actually get stronger right now is to upgrade your mods. To do that, simply head over to your arsenal. Click the upgrade button next to whatever item you want to upgrade. Then find the mod you want to upgrade. For example, this random one here. And hold down right click. This will bring up the upgrade screen where you can spend endo and credits to make your mods more powerful. This can directly increase how much damage you do. However, it's important to note that upgrading just one mod at a time can be terrible. As you can see here, the higher level upgrades cost even more endo and credits. Instead, upgrade all of the mods you have equipped just a couple of times to make sure the costs remain low. But you might be asking, how do I get credits and endo to actually upgrade the mods? That's a wonderful question. The best way to get credits is by simply playing through the story. Completing main story quests and junctions can award you tens of thousands of credits, and you're already going to want to do them anyway. Other ways of getting credits includes Dark Sector missions, which can be found on most planets, Void Relic missions, and excavations. The best way to get endo early game is easily going to be completing bounties. Most lower level bounties can award up to 1,000 endo or so for completing them, which is sufficient to upgrade mods a few times. Another super great way is to complete Maru's treasure hunt, which can be found at her bazaar over on Mars. The only reason this isn't better than bounties is because it can only be completed once per week, but it's super amazing, netting you a couple thousand endo. Another way to very quickly increase your power level is to utilize Orokin catalysts and reactors. A lot of people forget that these exist, and by simply applying one to your Warframe or weapon will double the amount of mod capacity that it has, which is objectively super great. The primary method of acquiring these is through Nightwave, so doing missions for Nightwave is an amazing way to get stronger. Lastly, I do want to mention Forma. Forma can be used to increase the mod capacity of your Warframe or weapon, but I highly recommend against using them early game because the bonus they provide isn't very significant at early levels, and they're much better spent on Warframes and weapons that you're going to be getting later into the game. With all that out of the way, let's move on to actually modding your gear. We're going to start with how to mod your Warframes. There's a lot of great mods to pick from that the game will give you early on. It's just about knowing what they all do. Firstly, I would recommend using these two mods that increase your health and shields. Don't upgrade them all the way though, as most frames don't usually end up using these later on. The next thing to focus on is an aura mod. You'll get the Dreamer's Bond mod by completing the Venus Junction, and it's pretty important as equipping an aura mod will boost your overall mod capacity. You can get other aura mods from the Nightwave shop that I talked about earlier, and some may be better suited to match the polarities of your Warframe. The polarity is this icon on the top right, which will turn green if you match the symbol and red if you don't. If it's green, you'll get double the bonus capacity, and if it's red, it'll be halved. Since upgrading your aura mod will directly increase your mod capacity even further, I recommend maxing it to rank 5 as the first thing you do. One of the most integral things you can get on your Warframe is a good energy economy. Basically, you'll want to be able to use your abilities more often because then you'll deal more damage. Mods like Streamline and Equilibrium will help you accomplish this, causing your abilities to cost less energy and being able to pick up more energy. Equilibrium is a really underrated mod that is surprisingly powerful. After that, you'll want to make your abilities actually deal damage, so you'll want Ability Strength. The only early game mod that does this is Intensify, but there's a ton more later that you can get. Last but not least, you'll want to use duration and range mods like these here. Depending on your Warframe, these might add some convenience and utility. Now, let's talk about some mods that you can get later down the line that will do the job of the mods I just talked about, but better. Corrupted mods amplify your offensive stats greatly, but come at the cost of lowering another stat. If you have certain stats you're trying to boost up, you can sacrifice the other ones. They can be obtained by doing Orokin vaults located on Deimos, but you'll have to have a Dragon Key. Dragon Keys can be acquired by completing the Erish Junction, or a little more easily, through a clan dojo. Luckily for you, I have one you can join. Just be over 18 and check out the Discord link you'll find in the description. New players and beginners are welcome. Next up is Archon mods. Archon mods are effectively just direct upgrades to your base mods. They give you bolstered stats along with additional effects that are utilizable by some Warframes. They're about on par with primed mods, but they're much more consistent to obtain. You can purchase them directly using a currency called stock that you can acquire after beating the Veilbreaker quest. Doing weekly missions with Call after completing the quest will allow you to level up to unlock the mods as well as earn the stock to purchase them. I also recommend checking out Barokatir at his relay every 2 weeks because primed mods are also very, very good. Oh, and if you have any questions about how to get mods or which ones to use, feel free to leave them in the comments, or even better, stop by my stream. I stream 4 days a week where you can stop in and I can personally answer all of your questions. Now, let's talk about modding your weapons. There's a lot of different kind of weapons, so it's a little bit more complicated, but I'll keep it simple for you. The most obvious mod you're going to want to put on is the one that makes you do more damage. There's a different one for each kind of weapon, but as you can guess, upgrading this is just a little bit important. Next up, just like Warframes, you'll want to increase the mod capacity. Unfortunately, this can only be done with melee weapons through stance mods, but they're basically equivalent to Warframe aura mods. You want to max it out to level 5 as soon as possible. The second most impactful mod to increase damage, beyond the mod that literally says it increases damage, is elemental mods. These also actually just increase damage, but they make you do damage of a certain type. There's 4 different base elements: heat, toxin, cold, and electricity. You can also mix and match 2 of these elements to create a new combined element, which has different effects. The best one to use overall against most enemies is viral, which is a combination of both cold and toxin. Then, heat is the second best element to have. Equip heat with viral, which you can do by placing the heat mod after the cold and toxin mods. Usually, you can max out these mods since they only have 5 upgrades. If you can't remember how to make a certain elemental combination, you can simply just type in the name, like viral or radiation, into the search bar. And hey, if you're finding this guide helpful, make sure to subscribe. After that is fire rate or attack speed. This will increase your damage by simply making you do that damage more often. After doing some research, multi-shot seems to be way harder to acquire than I remember, but if you do happen to pick up a multi-shot mod, I definitely recommend putting it on your primary or secondary weapon. Finally, you'll want to focus on either critical damage or status chance, or potentially both. These modifiers are usually only good on weapons that are a little bit better, as early game weapons just won't have very good base stats to work with these. As a general rule, you'll want to focus on critical mods if your base critical chance is around 15 to 20% or higher, which you can see here, and you'll want to focus on status mods if your base status chance is 15 to 20% or higher, which you can see here. If they're about the same, you can do both. Now, what mod should you get once you're a little later into the game? Just like with Warframe, corrupted mods are pretty good, but definitely not as amazing as the Warframe ones. Some of them can be pretty bad, but some can be very great. Then there's galvanized mods. I plan on making a more in-depth guide for galvanized mods later, but with recent changes to the game, they're much easier to get now. Once you've completed the Eris Junction, you can access arbitrations, then you'll be able to purchase galvanized mods from the Arbiters of Hexus with Vitus Essence that you can earn from those arbitration missions. The last thing I want to briefly talk about is companions. There's a few very good utility mods that you can and should use on almost every companion. The first is Vacuum or Fetch. Being able to get more resources and loot with less effort is objectively amazing. Along the same line are the Retriever mods, which boost either your resource pickups, credit pickups, or both. They can be acquired from Tessani in Cetus, the Business in Fortuna, or Sun in the Necrolisk. My final recommendation is to pick up the Animal Instinct mod that you can get very easily from the Europa Junction. It's a niche tool to have, but it's super helpful if you're looking for containers or enemies. And that's it for the guide. Let me know in the comments or on my stream if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Thank you for watching, and a special thanks, as always, to my lovely channel members who allow me to keep making content. I should put that as the bloopers at the end. I'm gonna start doing a new thing, I think, where I have bloopers at the end of the video.